and network. If you're afraid to talk to people, people lend money to people they like and know, and you got to build relationships. And it's always there. There's no.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Wealth Generator Podcast. I am your guest host today, Siobhan Mitchell, and I get to sit down and talk about all things wealth building in the world of real estate and business. And today I have none other than the CEO, the founder, Dorian Carter. Dorian, welcome to your own show.
Here on the other side. So it's a privilege. And yes, let's get going.
All right, so are you ready? Because I
Yeah.
have all the questions that people want to know.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, so I want to give people a little bit of background. So we know that you're into real estate, commercial real estate. We're going to get to all of that and wealth generating. But what did you do before you became this person that was invested in real estate and wealth generation?
Well, I spent 18 years in a variety of areas in information technology, sometime in the military, 9.5 years, a few years working for the federal government, and then another 5 years in telecommunications. So I spent 18 years in before I became full time, but certainly I was investing while still working my corporate job.
Okay, so when did you know that you wanted to step into this world of real estate? Like, what was that moment that you said, okay, I get like corporate world, but now I need to kind of pivot and transition.
Yeah, interestingly enough, it was not a plan. I did not plan on going into real estate, let alone commercial real estate. So I purchased my first house in 1998, the end of 1998, 99, somewhere right in there. And so then I got this bug of holding on to the property I lived in and going and buying another one and moving and then doing the same thing. And so I saw where there's an opportunity to own assets and build wealth. So it wasn't an intent. I just bought a house and then I like getting bigger houses and that the rest was history.
Okay, so when you say that, and people who are listening who are maybe in your position or maybe, older and considering it, it sounds very easy to say, okay, I got this house and then I got another one. How did you know what to do if that wasn't your intention?
Well, I learned along the way. So what was crazy is I made so many mistakes because I didn't have a lot of knowledge to go seek and people to help me. And I was a little gun shy by about working with other people. I thought I could do it myself. And that was like the worst thing to go through the process and try to do it yourself without any help. So,
For someone who is saying, okay, I hear that,
yeah.
and I know that you made mistakes. So take us through that process of after the first time you bought the house and you're like, wait a minute, I like this, I can make more money. How, what were the steps? Yeah, take us through that first buy or that second buy. What were your steps?
Yeah.
How did you acquire the house?
So the first step was buying my first house. I was like, man, I just happened to have good credit. I was married back then, and we had good credit. Had some money saved, a little money saved up for down payment. And we was like, oh, you can actually own an asset. I heard you can own an asset. And I kind of knew that. No, I just not kind of knew that. I had godparents that raised me, and I remember them paying off the house, but I didn't connect it in my late 20s that that could realistically be me. And that's what happened. And then moving on to the next deal, I was like, wait a minute, I want a bigger house, but I was recommended to not sell the house I was in, hold on to it, and rent it out. So I did that. And then before I know it, I was owning multiple assets by doing that very same thing. Then I built a house. And this was all in a period of time when credit was open and you could get anything you want. and I just, I like the fact of renting a house out, multiple houses, and having that cash flow come in. And so, yeah, that was really my focus.
Okay, so then what about people who are not necessarily in the position where they have great credit or they don't have money that's saved, because that's a lot of times that's what discourages people from doing it, because they feel like, okay, I don't have the ability to do it because I don't have like $10,000 saved, or I don't have perfect credit. What do you say to them as far as getting started?
Yeah, when I first did it, I didn't have a 700 score. My score was in the high 60s range, and I did a FHA, which was 3% down. So it didn't take that much down then. And then they had assistance programs out there, and that's just buying a house. When you're buying a house, there are a lot of programs out there. Back then, what's interesting is what they talk about interest rates being high now, but I remember my rate, my first house was 6.75%. And that's what the rate is around now. And people saying high interest rate, but I think back then is I just lived at a lower means. But there are so many, as I started investing in properties, I started working with other people that had cash, and that's I started partnering because I realized if I was going to buy more assets, that I needed to partner with other people. And you either have to have one of the two. You can't have bad credit and no cash. You have to do wholesaling, meaning you got to take a little bit of money, find something, and sell it and assign it to somebody else without you having to get a loan and make money that way. So there's always a way, but you got to learn other ways when you're missing something. And I know in a market now where people want a house, it's kind of difficult to buy a house right now because of the interest rate. However, what you're going to see now is uh, owners financing, where people have houses that are free and clear, and they realize if you can't afford it bank wise, maybe they can do something from a owner standpoint where they can lend to you and then allow you to buy houses. So it's always a method or a way to get a deal done.
Okay, so you said when you first started that you kind of, you felt like I could do this myself, but as you've gone on, you recognize the power in partnering with people and collaborating. So how do you find those people, especially in the age of social media where everybody is an expert? Everybody says that they, know what to do. How do you find your people to work with?
To be quite honest, well, I'm honest anyway. But if people are all around you, you go to networking events. Number one, they got this organization called RIAs. They're across the country, Real Estate Investment Association. That's where the investors are at. They're either there or they know somebody else that may be in an area that you want to go in. But almost everybody in there has money or are looking for money like you. But the money people are always in the networking. You got to get out to these real estate events and network. If you're afraid to talk to people, people lend money to people they like and know, and you got to build relationships. And it's always there. There's no one place that I could say all the investors go, because they are everywhere. So that means you got to network, network, network. Even if I don't like, I used to be a shy person, don't want to work with people. But in the end, I can just have a regular conversation with people about their lives and what they do. And that's all people want. You build a relationship. And once people like you, they tend to want to work with you, loan you money, invest with you, all of that. So it's all about being yourself and going out and talking with people in the end.
That's good. That's really good advice. So I wanted to ask you, because I didn't ask you at the beginning. So, do you have your real estate license? Is that something that you recommend for somebody who does want to get in, let's say, investing or flipping houses or even commercial real estate? How, because I know you said there's information out there, but is that something that you recommend?
I first of all, I do have a license. I own a firm in three different states: North Carolina, South Carolina, and Florida. The problem is, if you're investing, I don't recommend that you get a license because you don't need a license to invest. You need a license to represent other people. And so that's to be clear. Everybody, nobody tells you that up front, and then people run off and get a license. And on the off chance that you can get a deal in your first year, most of the time when you get a deal, you have to spend it all out to marketing. So how are you going to ever invest? The best way to start investing is one of the methods I mentioned earlier, which was wholesaling. If I'd have known that it was easier to invest without a license, I wouldn't have never gotten a license. So the license, to be clear, is for you to legally represent somebody else. You don't need a license to represent yourself. And once you get the license, it restricts you to some of the methods you can use in trying to get your investments. Now you got to let everybody know that you are a licensed real estate agent because they consider you a professional, then an expert, and so you have to reveal it by law. And so no, if you're going to just invest, do not go out and get a license.
Okay. All right. No, that's good information for the people who are listening. So you talked about how your first house, you held onto it and you then rented it out. So been this debate on social media about, are we selling grandma's house? So in the market that is happening today and everybody talking about a recession, are we holding on to the houses and renting them out, or are we selling them?
Yeah, I would say I don't believe in, well, I can't say I don't believe in selling assets. Certain assets I would sell, but selling grandmama's house, in my opinion, is a bad idea. Here's why. If you don't own anything, or even if you do own something, renting a house out and using that leverage to invest in other things is probably the wisest thing you can do. So selling grandmama's asset to get the 25,000, because most of the time you can get about 25,000, and then you got to put another 25,000 in it to bring it up to where somebody can live in it. But that's okay because even if you do that, now you probably make it worth 75,000, and then the rent you get will cover whatever you owe on that loan. So absolutely, or in many cases, the property is free and clear. So just get it fixed up, rent it out, and leverage that to invest in other things. Do not get rid of assets. I know people always say they ain't building any more land. No, they're not, but there's still plenty land out there to invest in. But why give away an asset just to get a few $1,000s when you can leverage that into many more $1,000?
Right. So I want to ask you, because everybody's talking about the recession that's coming and the economy. So how do you, as someone that's an investor, how do you prepare for that? Do you recommend people to still be trying to invest and buy property? Like, what does that look like? Because I know you've gone through many seasons of the economy being up and down.
Yeah, I bet this is my third recession that we're currently in now. People think we're not. Just because the government doesn't say we are, doesn't mean that we're not in a recession. Obviously, we are. I would say there's never a bad time to invest. You just have to change your underwriting criteria. So, for example, if my interest rates, and I just got through talking about this earlier this today with a colleague that hasn't been in the business that long. And so, what you have to do is change the way you look at things. So, if you know the interest rates going up, which means that your loans are going to be higher, whether it's hard money, bank money, it doesn't matter, private money, it's going to be more expensive to borrow money. So that means you have to pay less for a property than you did in the past. And that means that I won't say a lot of deals, but quite a few deals you're going to work, you got to walk away from because, and just be patient because at some point the market is going to keep changing. It's going to be more difficult. The loans that are out there now at the higher interest rates, there are going to be deals or people that own property that really can't afford to pay the mortgages. You know, things are going to change and you're going to have more opportunities. So just be patient, do less risky things. So if you're trying to develop land, just know that developing land, a lot of the banks may not develop in this market unless it's something totally attributed to workforce housing or affordable housing. Banks are still doing those deals. Everyone are doing those deals because we got a housing problem, right? But just be more conservative in your approach because it's going to get worse and you have to make sure you're going in at a number where you can always get a return and get an investment, a good return on your investment dollars, as well as whoever you're partnering with, your investors that's putting in money. You want to make sure they're assured to getting their returns as well. So just be a lot more conservative, but there's never a time where it's not good to invest, in my opinion.
Okay. So you mentioned earlier that you do have a business. I want you to tell us about it. And then I have some more questions. So tell us about the business and what does it entail? What are all the things that you do?
Okay, I got a few businesses here. The oldest business is On Point Partners, where we are a consulting firm across the U.S. on development projects for governments, and we do affordable housing consulting, large development deal consultants, market and feasibility studies, opportunity zone consulting and research for governments. We've done quite a bit of it, and historical property. So that's the oldest firm, been in business since 2011 towards 2012. And On Point Commercial, that's our brokerage firm I mentioned early. We're licensed in 3 states: North Carolina, South Carolina, and Florida. That is the business where we do a lot of brokerage deals, wholesaling, all of that. Our team of folks work out of that. And we are developers by trade. We develop apartments and single tenant net lease. And so we focus on 100 units or less of development of affordable and workforce housing. And we're really, really excited about the growth and opportunity around that, doing smaller communities in areas that definitely need housing. As you know, it's a big problem.
So I'm learning something new today because I didn't know this is all that you did. Uh, but I want to ask you why is it important for you to do the apartment development? Like, yeah, why did you decide that this is something you wanted to do, and why is it important for the community?
One, it's so much opportunity out there, and someone has to tackle this housing problem. One, you know, I told myself I wasn't going to get into apartments, but I couldn't avoid putting some work into affordable housing. And frankly, the other reason I got into it is I have a nonprofit where we help students from HBCUs to learn commercial real estate and then also have a way to lessen the impact on their student loans and build wealth long term for their families. So I wanted to be able to develop and have projects where I can train those students as well to just learn all the aspects of commercial real estate, and it allows us to have a real solution for community. So we're real excited about how we can both do work, help investors, help ourselves, of course, build wealth, and then help our students at these HBCUs learn new skills that will allow them to get jobs as well in the commercial real estate field.
What's the name of the nonprofit?
Advanced Wealth Corporation, and we're at advwealth.org. So, really, really excited about the work we're doing and our fantastic board that's out there helping us build.
That's pretty awesome. I didn't know that you were doing all of that. Look at
Yeah,
you.
and I want to
Out here.
say that I'm definitely not singular. I come with a variety of team members and business partners that help make a lot of this happen. I love working with people, but I'm certainly, although I'm the face in a few of these companies, I'm certainly not alone. I have partners that are helping me build and reach these goals. So,
That sounds good. So commercial real estate. So we you went from houses, then you out here having apartments. How did you make that transition into commercial real estate? One.
yeah, another by accident thing. So while I was in my corporate America phase, uh, buying houses and rehabbing them and moving to other houses, I decided I wanted to get a 4-year degree in economics. And so I went off in that direction. I figure, I can gain a lot of knowledge about the economy and I can do a lot of things. Well, I took a elective course called Commercial Property Management at Georgia State University. And the rest was history. The very next semester, I changed my degree um, to real estate. It was in the same business school, and now economics became my elective courses. And it ended up being the seed for me changing careers to commercial real estate. And so, yeah, I learned commercial real estate by taking one course, and which ignited me to go into commercial real estate law, commercial real estate finance, and I just took it from there, and we just kept on rolling.
So what would you say is the benefit of doing commercial real estate? Because I don't hear many people talking about commercial real estate, especially in our community. So what would you say like the perk or the benefit is versus doing housing and apartments?
Well, to be clear, apartments are considered commercial real estate, even though it's a residential component to it, and that's because it requires a commercial loan to get it done, and so it is indeed commercial. But when it comes to shopping center, which early in my career, almost 90% of what I did was commercial shopping centers. And so the advantage is the revenue from commercial is not only larger, but it's more consistent over years. With residential ownership, sometimes in markets where it's good, people move every year. And so there's an additional cost into residential component that sometimes you don't see in commercial. And commercial has a very specific component to it where it is factored, the value of it is factored off of the income that you receive. So having a full shopping center where people are paying leases for 5 years is worth way more than a few houses that you can put together. So it builds wealth naturally faster. And so that's the particular advantage that it has over residential. And the reason why you don't hear much about it is because there's only a limited amount um, of training program. Plus, historically, just a lot of people are unaware that everything you do is based on commercial, except going home and live every day. But everything
Right.
else is commercial real estate. So it's a huge opportunity, especially for minorities, to be in the commercial real estate. And so when I came in, it was a very low percentage. I think now we're probably up to 3 or 4% maybe. So it's changing, but we want that to be much higher percentage of minorities and especially African Americans in the commercial real estate. There's huge opportunities, and we need a way to drive and change our communities to reflect some evenness and lessen gentrification if we can. And so, yeah, it's definitely more knowledge to be gained and shared out there and to impact commercial real estate and get other people into it.
That's good. So I know that generating wealth is important to you. Uh, Give us a little bit of like your feedback on why that's important and why that's a part of your message and your business.
Yeah, one, as an African American, we are indeed behind other races when it comes to what we earn and our wealth. Our net worth is way below other races, and so it's important to me. For one, is that it is a excellent way to change the dynamic of your portfolio, how you live, where you live, how you travel, how your experience is for your family and your kids. And certainly, generating a nice portfolio, it can be left to your kids and then build generational wealth. So, a lot of buildings and assets that you see out there commercial that just keep having tenants, whether it's people leasing apartments or office buildings or shopping centers, they stay in families for many years. So they're putting their kids through college, grandkids through college, and long after the matriarch or patriarch is gone, then you have the kids that are owning assets. And certainly, we got to find a way to help our folks understand how to build wealth. So it's important for that reason alone. I want to have something left for my kids after I'm gone.
Wrap up. What would you say are some hard lessons that you had to learn in your journey of having all of these businesses? Like, what are some hard lessons that you learned and you don't want people to repeat those mistakes?
Absolutely great question. The one that I'm reflecting on as we speak because it's a lot of changes going on. And one is to partner. I believe the absolute worst thing we could do is not partner with other people in building. It absolutely distresses, spreads the wealth, and not only help you, you could actually have more output by doing less and partnering. And so I believe in, it's a thing that's really has been taught in our generation. We've been taught to not work with our own people in our own community. And certainly there's no knock on other communities, but we got to be more aware of that, partnering and doing that. So I had to learn early on, I couldn't do it all myself. I absolutely, some of my major losses came from trying to do things myself. So I've learned and I practice it now. I almost start nothing without some level of partnership with someone that has something that I don't have, and it's paying dividends. I tell you, if it's something that I would have learned earlier, certainly I would be in an even better position than I am now. So
That's good advice. Yeah, we definitely are taught in our community like not to work together. And I hope we get better at working together because I don't have all the answers and there are other people who have a part of the puzzle pieces. So,
yeah, and I'll add to that. That's not just in business, but that's in family too. Husband and wife, we got to find a way to have a significant other where you can build more. And certainly, it's not for everybody, but for those who do desire, find the right person to work with and build, build, build. That's the only way to change things without ego.
absolutely, without ego. So I want people to know how they can work with you. So what does it look like to work with Dorian, and what do you have for the people?
Yeah, well, I definitely have a couple of coaching programs, one on commercial real estate investment and the other on commercial real estate development. And so I think one of the things that people sometimes think that commercial real estate is overly difficult, and it actually is not. It is a distinct way to build team, get the right people, and make this happen. So when you go through my program, we're teaching you how to be a project manager. And in project management, you don't have to know everything. You just have to bring teams together to reach a goal. So my two programs out there are commercial real estate investment and commercial real estate development. So if you just want to invest in a property, operate in a passive manner where you acquire an asset, have it as mailbox money, meaning the property is out there operating by itself and you just sit at home and get a check. Certainly we teach that part. And if you want to invest, I mean, if you want to develop, meaning buy assets and buy value add assets and then transform them and increase the income, and you want to be active in that, well, we teach a development course. If you want to go from ground up, meaning just raw land and create an affordable housing project, we teach that as well. So it's an A to Z approach where we can walk you through the process where I'm coaching. What's what's very unique and great about it is my learning from partnering with people allows me to do even more coaching now. So certainly you can go to workwithdorian.com, check out that link and schedule some time with me at the end after watching the video. And then I tell you, you'll at least walk away with a plan of how you can achieve success, even if you don't work with me or decide to work with me.
Sounds good. So this was a great conversation, Dorian. I learned a lot. And I hope that every person that is listening learned a lot. Please make sure after you listen that you share this with other people in your community, that you rate this and you review it, and that you come back and check out all of the other episodes that Dorian has coming out, because he has a wealth of knowledge and some amazing guests that are going to be on that can also teach you a thing or two. So thank you, Dorian, for agreeing to do this.
And thank you, Siobhan, for being a gracious host and highlighting all these great things I'm so excited about.
Great. All right. We will see y'all next time.